Hey everyone, on the topic of fat loss, I just want to share a personal story about my experience with it. So once upon a time, before I even got into the gym, I used to be athletic, right? So I used to play on sports teams, whatever the case may be. And then when that came to a halt, I started getting to the gym. So, I guess the thing at the time was everybody was taking pre-workouts and all these different things. So I hopped on the same bandwagon and I tried different ones. I tried some illegal ones. I tried a lot of stuff. And I kind of got hooked on C4, which I have right here. And this one's pretty popular too. So I can only talk about from my personal experience, but I've tried all of them. And C4 is probably the best one that I had. It gave me, the buzz that I needed. It gave me the energy that I really thought I needed in the gym. And when I first kind of started going to the gym, I would take this to kind of give me that boost. And I would literally, without a word of a lie, run for like 100 minutes on the treadmill, and then I go do 60 minutes on the Stairmaster. And then when that wasn't good enough, or I didn't see any changes, I started dipping into hydroxycut. And hydroxycut is basically a fat burner. So imagine this, you're like 19 years old, you have this skewed notion of being lean is being fit, even though that's not true at all. That obsession of having a six-pack and, trying to look or fit in with that crowd really ate away at me. So I kind of abuse these things really bad. I don't have the other item that I use because they don't sell it, I don't think, anymore, but ephedrine, kind of got it, over the counter or under the counter, whatever the term is. So I would take 2 scoops of C4 and pop like 4 pills of hydroxycut and do endless hours of cardio. Where that got me was absolutely nowhere because I was still, upset with the way I looked. I was still unhappy, so it really wasn't, I guess you could say it wasn't beneficial by any means. So I abused these for pretty long until one day I was actually on the Stairmaster. If anybody knows me, I always train with a hoodie on. And I was finishing up my cardio, and I remember like my heart was pounding through my chest and my face was beet red from sweating and all this other stuff, and all I remember is just passing out, and I fell off the Stairmaster and I almost went to the hospital that day. So that was a huge wake-up call for me to kind of cut this stuff out, which is a lot easier said than done because I got off the hydroxycut, but I kind of kept this bad boy in my life. I was like, hey, I don't need the fat burners, I'll figure it out. So I started turning back to just C4, double scooping it in the car on my way there to the gym, and eventually I just kept taking it, and then eventually 1 scoop turned to 2, turned to 3, and I didn't get the same effects anymore. So I guess you could say, fast forward, I started working at Core Excellence. I wasn't really on C4 as much anymore. Everyone here loves coffee, so I kind of got on a coffee kick, and I usually, before coming here, I hated coffee. I'm more of a tea drinker, I guess you would say. So I came here and I weaned off this. I started going and taking coffee, but at the time I was working 3 jobs and I was just kind of burnt out. And I guess you could say that instead of using this as a means to kind of get me through my workout, I started turning to coffee now. So I would have 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and then 1 again, maybe mid-afternoon, if you will, to kind of keep me going. And I was so dependent on it. And that also bit me in the butt later on. So fast forward again, I'm not sure if some of you guys know, but we work with Gino Belafonte, who's an iridologist. And I've seen Gino before. And when I went to go see him this time, I really wasn't well, I guess you can say. I was always tired. If anybody knows me, I went to Walmart parking lot every day without a word of a lie, and I would go sleep in the parking lot at Walmart. I'd roll down my window, grab whatever hoodie I had in the car or a pillow, and I would literally sleep. And whether that nap was 20 minutes or an hour, I would just sleep because I was always tired. So I had no energy throughout the day. I would probably wake up and have maybe some form of mental clarity for about an hour, and then I'd crash the rest of the day. I took daily naps. My weight was always at the same, I guess you could say always at the same weight. I couldn't get lean. I had 0 energy to train. My training was really inconsistent and also not really beneficial, because some days when I would have a lot of energy, I'd go ham here, and then I wouldn't be able to recover for 3 days. And then on top of that, my sleep was crap. So I wake up and I'm lethargic. I had brain fog. I had almost such a lack of motivation. And for over 1.5 years, I kind of stayed in this limbo of, it didn't serve me any good. So when I went to go see Gino, as some of you may have experienced or have seen him, how it works is that he looks into your eye to tell you internally what's going on. So, you put your chin on the chin rest, and he looks into your eye. So what he does, he flashes a light. Now, generally, your pupil, when light goes on, it pulses, and then it has that focal point. Mine didn't focus; it kept throbbing. So in my head, I'm like, that's kind of weird. It's strike one in my head, And he says, okay, let me just record your eye. So he recorded it, and then he makes you look in like different directions, so up, down, whatever the case may be. So I remember I looked up, upper left, and I felt like such a big eye strain. And I remember when he stopped looking at my eye, I grabbed my eyes and I was like, oh my gosh, what was that? It was so painful. And I'm thinking, this never happens whenever I see him. And I probably saw him maybe once or twice prior to that one time. And so when we, took all the photos and looked at my eye, my thyroid and my adrenals were kaput. So I was basically burning the candle out on both ends, And all the years of taking all this stuff, plus my unhealthy, or I guess you could say my lifestyle factor with the 3 jobs and running around all the time and lack of sleep, it all caught up and my body just shut down. And so the best thing I can say is, as much as I followed Gino's protocol to get better, I had to make a lot of changes in my life. I had to leave my jobs, my 2 other jobs. Obviously, it's not going to happen all at once. It was more of a gradual process. I prioritized sleep. My training came to a bit of a halt. I couldn't do the raw kind of workouts that I always like to do. It was more like, I guess you could say, gentle training, if you will. I cut out caffeine. I only had one when I really needed it, or days that I felt like I was going to crash. It was a lot of, I guess you can say, trial and error to see what worked and what didn't. But the moral of the story is that the stuff that you do sometimes when you're younger, and all the stuff that you take, or whatever the case may be, could add up later on and affect you. So like it did for me, it bit me in the butt. I for sure taxed my adrenals and my hormones and my thyroid by taking all this stuff. And had I known now what I know then, I would have never touched any of this. But under the influence of friends, you try things, and you just want to be like everybody else in the gym. You want to be super lean, you want to be strong, and you kind of do whatever it takes to get there. Obviously, I didn't take steroids to get there. I just tried everything else but that. But the moral of the story is, I'm leaner, healthier, and stronger than I am now without the use of any of this stuff. Whereas back then, I was miserable, under eating, under recovering, not sleeping well, and had to cause myself some health issues. So I hope you guys learned something from this today. Don't take this stuff. It's really not that good for you. Sorry to the companies. My bad for kind of using your products, but that's just the way it is. So have a good one. Thanks for tuning in.